All right, folks, here we are. The big day. It's finally here. It seems like, I don't know, we've been waiting for this day forever. And then all of a sudden, the last 100 days or so have just flown by. Decision 2024 on the 1st will be live probably all night, maybe into the morning. We shall see. I don't think we're going to have a winner tonight. I do think we will have a winner, but we will not have it tonight, I'm guessing. Remember, Pennsylvania closes in 2 hours, 8 p.m. Eastern, and that will be the big kahuna, 19 electoral votes. So we're going to keep our eye on Pennsylvania. And again, Pennsylvania is one of those states where it may take them quite a while to count those provisional votes. Remember in 2020 when we all went to bed thinking Trump had won, Pennsylvania looked like he had it in the bag, and then some hundreds of thousands of votes that were mailed in or counted, and they went for Joe Biden. Kind of a shocker. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, I think a lot of people are watching the polls carefully. I think this time around, everyone's got a cell phone, and people have realized that let's not let this happen again. So without any further ado, let's bring in the guy who everyone knows this man. I've known him a long time. In fact, I worked with him for a good 18, maybe 17 years at Fox News, Mr. Bill O'Reilly, host of the No Spin News. And don't forget, folks, you can subscribe for his show at BillO'Reilly.com, which I do. Bill, welcome, my friend. You want to give us some overall thoughts with a couple hours till the polls, an hour till some of the polls close?
Nice to see you on the first, Bolling. I didn't recognize you at first with the face stuff going on. I looked outside to see if there was a full moon. There isn't. So I assume this is now intentional on your part. Not a lot of stuff coming out, and you know I'm a fact-based guy. When I'm watching the television news presentations, the favorite words of these pinheads who are being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. Their favorite words are, "We'll see." Now, if I'm paying somebody 200 grand, I want a little bit more than "we'll see." Call me crazy, Bolling, but I want a little bit of analysis. So I've got a couple of things for first viewers. Number one, Kamala Harris and the Democrats have been totally silent all day long. That is very unusual. Usually you get their shills out there saying this, that, and the other thing. Nothing. Crickets. And we're trying to get some kind of, well, how do you feel about it? There is late internal polling. Now, the Trump people have put out, and I don't know whether this is public, but it found its way to me, that urban turnout Bolling is lower than it was 4 years ago, and rural turnout is higher, which of course would be
good news.
Okay, if it's true.
Yep.
Remember, coming from people, so they're not above propaganda, but I don't know why they would make something like that up. So if Atlanta, for example, is lower, Georgia is almost certain to go to Trump, because Atlanta is the base of operation for the Democratic Party and Kamala Harris. Now, if Trump takes Georgia, which I believe he will because of the Lake and Riley murder, that really put that state on edge. And that was the undocumented alien from Venezuela, allegedly murdered, Lake and Riley, a college student at the University of Georgia. And that is fresh in people's minds to this day. And Kamala Harris, as everybody knows, has no solutions to the border. Doesn't even look interested in it, in my opinion. So I think Georgia will go to Trump. Then you go up to North Carolina, and Georgia has 16 electoral votes. North Carolina also with 16. They got a crazy Republican running for governor who's going to lose in North Carolina. So that hurts the Republican Party there. But I think culturally, North Carolina is still a red state. And with all of the high prices and the immigration chaos, I'm going to predict North Carolina will go to Trump. If Trump wins Georgia and North Carolina Bolling, and I had my statisticians go through it, he has an 85% chance of winning the election. Did you know that?
No, Bill, I'm a number cruncher. I'll never forget in 2016, I was on set at Fox, and God bless him, Megyn Kelly and Brett Baer were there in the 5, and it was around 11 o'clock at night, and Trump locked down North Carolina, and Fox didn't call it yet, and I did the math, and because he had that one split state vote. I think New Hampshire, he got that one vote. And I said, he just won. And they said, they got really mad at me. They freaked out. They said, no, we're not calling. He said, you don't have to call it as a company. But I've been telling you, he just won the election when they called North Carolina for Trump.
Certainly, you were entitled to give your opinion on it. But now all the networks, including Fox the most, because Fox lost $1 billion in the phony stuff that they did with the voting machines, they're all very, very guarded and very careful. But there are a few nuggets. So Karl Rove on Fox, he's floating the possibility that New Hampshire might go to Trump. Now, New Hampshire polls close at 8. Very small state, rapidly counted votes. If it's even close in New Hampshire, that is a harbinger, word of the day, for the Trump campaign. Now, I don't know whether you know this or not, but I predicted Donald Trump would win on Halloween, appropriately enough, and I'm sticking by that prediction because he has many more pathways to victory than Kamala Harris does. And all the exit polling so far shows a deep disenchantment on the part of the American people about how the Biden administration conducted itself. So if you're adding up what's actually happening, it looks like Trump has the advantage as we sit here at 7:05 Eastern Time.
So, yeah, and this is very interesting that you say that the rural vote is turning out in numbers, and the urban vote is low. Was that just for the state of Georgia? Because that would be huge for Trump in the state of Pennsylvania.
All 7 swing
Bill,
states.
Philadelphia and Pittsburgh are wildly liberal. They lean hard left, and everything else outside of those two major metropolitan areas is Trump country in the state. And if that holds true in Pennsylvania, he wins Pennsylvania, he basically locked down the election.
Yeah, the Trump people are saying the urban suppression, if you want to use that word, is across the 7 swing states. Now, Pennsylvania is a very difficult situation. It remains very difficult. In Philadelphia, they have a district attorney named Larry Krasner. You know him?
Right. Oh yeah. He's a Soros funded guy.
It's only there because Soros pumped millions into his campaign. He basically has charge of the apparatus of the Philadelphia vote. So that is questionable because this guy is a far left zealot, this Krasner guy. So I think that Pittsburgh, because of the assassination attempt in Butler, a suburb of Pittsburgh, is going to be kinder to Donald Trump than it was 4 years ago. I'm just doing this on a gut now. I don't have any data to back it up. That might be enough to mitigate Philadelphia in that state, but that is the most complicated of all the states. The other one that's very spooky is Nevada. Now, only 5 electoral votes in Nevada. 6, I'm sorry. Only 6, but there's only one county that matters in the whole state, and that's Clark County, Las Vegas. And the vote system there was installed by the late Senator Harry Reid. You remember Harry, right?
I do. Oh, yeah, I do. They love him there. They love him in Nevada.
He controlled every part of Clark County voting. That is still there. Now, Trump made inroads.
However, well, let me ask you this, Bill. So, yeah, Harry Reid has a major influence, and it may skew the way they read the votes, tally the votes. However, Trump came up with a brilliant idea, no tax on tips. Now, that county you're talking about is where Las Vegas is. The vast majority of people work on tips in Las Vegas. It's a brilliant idea to grab that one Las Vegas county. I can't remember the name of it, but that's the operative county, right?
It was so Clark County. It was so brilliant that Harris picked it off and said she'd do it too. But what I'm trying to get across to the first viewers is there are certain sections of the United States. Detroit is another one. Milwaukee, where the vote count is very dubious because of history. Because they've been doing stuff so long, the way that the Democratic Party mostly wants it done. And that has not been broken down completely. So when you get into the Nevadas and the Pennsylvanias, it gets murky. Now, I think Arizona is going to go for Trump. I was tenuous about a week ago, but the Atlas polling, which is what the No Spin News on BillO'Reilly.com, we use Atlas because it's out of Brazil, a polling agency, and they were the most accurate last time around, last 4 years ago. And they don't have any ideological bent. They're paymasters. It's a Brazilian company. Okay, so they are basically saying that Trump's ahead in all the swing states. But I don't think he's going to win all. But I think he will win the South. And that will give him a tremendous push.
That'll give him the election. Bill, I don't know how much time I have with you, but I would certainly, rather than who's going to win, do me a favor. Bill O'Reilly as the chief advisor to President Trump, and also Bill O'Reilly as the chief advisor, strategist to President Kamala Harris. What should each one of their first job, day one, be? What's the first policy initiative that they take or do or fix day one?
Okay. Well, the first thing I'd force them both to read Confronting the Presidents, my new book. They would have to read it, and I would give them a quiz, each of them. Because in order to govern well, you have to understand the dynamic of the country and what has happened in the past. So we got Gore versus Bush 2000, razor-thin Supreme Court decided it. We got Nixon-Kennedy 1960, where Nixon won that election. But because of organized crime in Chicago and West Virginia, Kennedy emerged. People need to know all that, and they don't. And that's why I wrote Confronting the Presidents. Whoever wins the election will be able to issue executive orders on Inauguration Eve. All right, Inauguration Day will be sworn in. They go back to the White House after the parade. They can write an EO. Trump's first EO will be dropping all the Biden regulations that make it harder to harvest fossil fuels in America. That's what he'll do. Because immediately that will put the energy companies on notice that your overhead is going to go down, and all prices then will go down, and that means the truckers will pay less for the gas to get the food to the grocery store. It's a chain reaction. So that's number one for him. Harris, in order to prove some kind of legitimacy, which he does not have at this point, has to do a border EO. I would suspend all asylum claims for at least 3 months. Stop it so that the government could reorganize the immigration courts, because right now they're totally out of control. There's a 5-year wait for some asylum cases. Can't have that. So that's not hard for Harris to do. Signs the executive order. We're not taking any more asylum claims. That means all the migrants, they're stopped in their tracks because everybody goes back to Mexico. So those are the two that I would do.
Final thought, whether he wins or loses, Donald Trump reached across, well, let's call it across the aisle-ish, and brought in Robert Kennedy Jr. He also tapped Elon Musk, kind of unconventional Republican politicking. Your thoughts on bringing in those type of characters into the Trump universe?
All right. Musk was a smart play because of his communicative abilities on X. So it's more of a PR play, but then Trump's saying, well, I'm going to make him an efficiency czar. He's going to advise me to how to cut unnecessary spending and things like that. I think that's worthy. With all due respect to RFK Jr., I have no use for him at all.
You don't like this idea of make America healthy again, make him, put him in charge of some
I'd like to make everybody healthy, but not with a guy who has an agenda a mile long and who is anti-vax for no reason. I'm sorry. I mean, I understand why Trump co-opted him, and I give him like an ambassadorship. His sister, that's Caroline, JFK's daughter, is ambassador to Australia. So I might give Bobby Bangladesh. I think that's where I would give him. Give him the ambassadorship. He goes to Dhaka, the capital, and sets up a nice little fiefdom where he can make the Bangladeshis healthy again.
make them healthy again. Maybe shoot a couple of bears in the meantime. Bill, hope Holly's doing great. Appreciate your time, everyone. Bill O'Reilly. Don't forget, subscribe at BillO'Reilly.com. Thank you, Bill.
All right, I'll be back in a couple hours on the first. So if you get bored with bowling and all the other people they have, I'm coming. I'm in the bullpen. Coming back.
All right, Bill. All right, Bill. Bill O'Reilly, folks. Thank you. All right, folks, when we come back, we have Senator Ron Johnson on deck, standing by to give us his ideas of what he sees from inside the swamp, not it being a swamp creature, but inside the swamp. And he's going to help Trump drain the swamp, or is he going to fight Kamala Harris and try and get her to drain said swamp? We'll be right back.